hit that like button, ayy. Subscribe and hit that notification bell, ayy. Sit down and relax, listen up. It's that Carl's Evening Coffee Show.
Hey, Carl here today with another evening coffee. I believe today is episode number 14, so stay tuned. Today is my Dollar General story. And this is a recent story that happened maybe a week ago, and I decided I'd make a video about it today. So basically, hold on, let me get a drink here. Alright, so basically what happened is I went to Dollar General to pick up supplies to make a recipe. Been watching a lot of cooking videos and stuff like that. And I came upon these two guys. Now I swear, not literally swear, shouldn't swear, but I promise at least one of these guys I've seen in videos on YouTube of people hiking the Appalachian Trail. And these two guys I met are extreme hikers. They hike all over the nation. I mean, not 5 miles. I mean, this one guy said he had hiked multiple trails, 300, 400, 500 miles, staying in the woods, sleeping on the ground. I mean, this guy was a real woodsman. And I talked to him for a minute, and basically learned that he wasn't married. He was a young guy. He wasn't married. He didn't have any children. And, he had traveled all over the United States. He was a free guy, completely free, no marriage, nothing holding him down. And, his friend and him would get a month off of work, and they would buy a cheap plane ticket, $20. What got him into this area, he's from like up north. He bought a $20 plane ticket to Orlando. They walked from Orlando to the forest and started walking the Florida Trail. And they ended up in mid-Florida, talking 60 miles. And they already hiked 60 miles. They had a full month. He was talking about possibly doing a couple 100 miles on the Florida Trail, And he's sitting there talking about all the things he's done as I want to make sure I'm recording. All the things he's done as a free man, being a hiker and just traveling all over, living the bachelor lifestyle. And I said, and jokingly I said, you know what I did? I got married. That's what I did. I got married. Basically saying that, in my life, the path that I chose was I want to be married. And when you're married, most of the time, from almost 98% of us, 99% of us, once we get married, then that life of singleness where you just traveling, spending a month in the woods randomly, that life is gone. Unless you make a living at it and your wife's getting money from it, you're paying bills with it, that life's over with. And you have to choose what path you want in life, whether you want the single life, have the free life like that man had, or if you want the married life where you buy a home and you raise children and you do a little stuff you want to do every now and then, but a lot of times you are tied down to family, okay? And you have to choose what life you want to do. But I have some points today about this, is that in the United States, a lot of times, in other cultures as well, we push people to get married. Now, I want to say, first of all, if you're under the age of 16, you probably shouldn't watch this video from here. I must talk about adult themes. And so you probably shouldn't watch them here, just a little warning. But part number one is, singleness is good. That man told me, he said, singleness is good. And I agree with him. Singleness really is good. And Paul even talks about, Paul was single, that, it's good for a man not to even touch a woman. But it's not wrong if you get married. But singleness is good. And he says in 1 Corinthians chapter 7, he talks about how the man that gets married will have many troubles in this life. Troubles with kids, men and women trying to join together in marriage. There's a lot of problems with that. Health problems, you know, health problems. You know, I've seen my grandfather with two wives who passed away. He's been married, you know, a few times. And one of them died of cancer. He had to go through all that pain and suffering with that. Another one he was married to for 13 years. And she was sick with cancer and different things for most of that time. You know, he had to take care of her. I remember her throwing up, you know, when we were out traveling, you know. And it's just, he had to move to Florida. He didn't want to, but he had to move to Florida to get her close to the Mayo Clinic, you know, out in Jacksonville. And so that's how I ended up in Florida. And so the point is you know, health problems cause issues, you know. And family problems, family in-laws and mothers and fathers, there's problems with that. And it statistically says 50% of marriages, at least one or both spouses at least cheats at least one time. At least one time. I mean, when you get into marriage, you have to think to yourself, am I willing to forgive somebody if they blatantly cheat on me, have an affair on me? You know, if the answer is no, and then maybe, you know, 50% of marriage is going to end up that way. So if you know that going in, you probably should consider, hey, you know, maybe marriage is not for me. You know, you have to be willing to forgive and to go forward, you know. One of the problems is you have health problems. One spouse needs sex, and they go find it somewhere else because you can't give it to them. They have this extreme strong desire, and then what happens is you know, they get tricked by the opposite sex, you know, and there it goes. Things like this happen. This is reality, okay? So point number 2 is, you know, Paul says if you're married, don't seek to be released. So if you're married, I'm not telling you to get divorced. I'm telling you to stay married because it's God's will for your life. That's His plan for you now. Even if you got married to so-called the wrong person, when you get married, that's now the right person. All right? Marriage is good. He who finds a wife finds what is good, the Bible says. Okay? Marriage is good. But singleness is also good. Okay? Singleness is also good. And you have to know that. If you're single, you have to know that. And point number 3 is what I really want to get to. If you get away from all the flack and, you know, cliches, what it all boils down to is, honestly, point number 3, if you don't have a strong desire for sex, don't get married. Plain and simple. Sex is one of the major purposes of marriage. The major. And that goes for men and women. You know, you hear the horror stories of women that will not, they don't need sex. You know, they put their husband, you know, they block him for 6 months at a time. If that is how you are, and that's how you are when you first get married, I mean, if you don't need sex before you get married, then don't get married. You're meant to be a single person like the Apostle Paul. Same thing goes for men. Men, if you don't have any desire to have sex, and you can be in full control of your body, and you're not constantly thinking about it, seeking women and stuff like that, don't get married. Do like the guy that's traveled all the United States and is, you know, hiking 300-400 miles, spending a month in the woods. He works to go play. He doesn't work to pay bills. This guy works, saves his money, and goes on canoeing trips down the Grand Rio, you know, River. You know, do that. Don't get married. Okay? Conclusion today is singleness is good. It is good. Marriage is good. It is good. Marriage is great. I'm married. I love being married. And the third thing is, plain and simple, if you don't need sex, do not get married. That's my lesson today. Thank you, and God bless.